Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your boy Carcino here. And yes, true to it, my Patreons, this is what we were talking about when we said it was time to get to it. Why was Jay-Z really there in this AI technology partnership? That was just a mask. Beyonce being there was a mask. And to cover up the real reasons of what was truly going on behind the scenes that people just didn't know and didn't see. And you just see them up there celebrating, and it's supposed to be a glorious thing. You're hating on a black man, all this nonsense, right? Well, let's take a bigger look behind the curtain, right? Let's take a bigger look behind the curtain. That's what those guys out there, the whole team. Jay Browns, Jay-Z, and the whole crew. Right? See Steve Stout out there, right? They're out there to do big business. And you see Jay out there in Dubai doing all his, Jay-Z-ery. These are the guys. Okay? That's the UAE, royal family. And this royal family, UAE, is one of the most corrupt you've ever seen in your life. That's right. Corrupt. And I don't mean dazzling corrupt. I mean corruption. And against you, African Americans, blacks. They know how to get what they want because they have all the money. But here's what you didn't know and why they got Jay there. To get that, you got to understand the history of where they're coming from. And all of these guys here, right? $1 trillion. And they own the oil companies and the Al Dhabi U.S. Arab immigrants. You'll see all of them in a conjunction. So when you see the whole entire repertoire of the people who are there, you'll start to understand the picture clearer, far clearer than anything you've ever imagined. Now, start to put two and two together. And ask yourself the question, why are they there? Why is Abu Dhabi? And why are they in this position? Why is these guys are the overseers? Now, this is their whole structure and family tree. But when you start to see the big picture and start to see the landscape of who's running the show, most of their money come from Africa. Almost 90% of their revenue comes from Africa. Their oil plants and everything that they got in, and the rest of it is criminally obtained through all different types all different types, the formats, all of it. So when you look at the entire whole scope of things, you're starting to see that there are a total of different people who keep making observations. And when they start saying, okay, well, we're going to make an observation, well, who you making the observation for? That's what people got to start asking questions. It's all about who you like. And if you don't like somebody, they'll end up being in a situation that's out of control. That's beyond your control. Then you're stuck with the realities of what are you going to do? No, there are a lot of different scenarios in play, but you're going to see it right now. It's the destruction, the wars, everything they did to obtain what they got, stealing gold from the Congo, not the condo. Jesus Christ, I said that wrong. So when they've done all these things and these acts, what do they need Jay-Z for? They need Jay-Z because Jay-Z represents the face. They need his complexion. They need his skin. They need Jay-Z to do what he's always done. Sell out. In May of this year, the South African Defense Investigations, they came through and investigated the claims that the UAE state-owned companies that was unlawfully obtained. It was personal intellectual property of South African arms manufacturers. And the Emirati entity was suspected of receiving leaked information, which was a state-controlled company in Abu Dhabi. Now, what's weird is that information that they got from the company, Jay-Z is pretty much is going to be in the situation right along with them, right? Then the royal family was a majority owner of the bank and what they call Bank of Commerce and the BCCI in the 1990s. And they dealt with all type of money laundering and terrorism and bribery, rigging the courts and African nations. And they had all kind of corruption going on. This is the Abu Dhabi royal family. They were the majority owner of the banks. And in 2022, the US Treasury Department found the reports of 90% of gold smuggled out of the Congo is refined and exported to the UAE. So once again, we're back in this scenario again about the UAE, which is a state-owned company, unlawfully obtained all of this stuff from the Congo, the Abu Dhabi royal family, and the highlights of the UAE's role in that for illicit funds from Africa. So they're stealing from Africa once again. Then transferring money over tens of millions of dollars was transferred from Angola's banks. Right? and they have their state oil company that they have, and they moved it to a Dubai-based company controlled by Dos Santos Associates. Now, here's how the investigation knows. They call it the Luanda leaks, right? Isabel Dos Santos, that's the daughter of the Angola's former president, and she's Africa's richest woman. She siphoned millions of dollars in state funds through offshore companies. And when that happened, that's created this influx for the Abu Dhabi and the UAE to come in and get money funded for whatever they wanted, hits for hire, people murdered, everything. This Africa is gone crazy. Now, instead of us doing what we were supposed to do in said situations, what we did was actually, instead of taking the scenario to another level, they sat dormant and did nothing. So UAE was supposed to be shut down. The South African, what they call the justice minister, expressed shock and dismay at their lack of cooperation with the courts. And they had all these people trying to get expedited, and they weren't expediting them. The Gupta family that was accused, of state capture and all this stuff with the president Jacob Zuma, after fleeing South Africa, they located to the UAE. And while trying to locate to the UAE, there was a refusal to extradite. So it started a lot of problems with Interpol. There was a lot of red notices. Now, Jay-Z is to come over there and put a black face on things with South Africa and sit down and saying, look, we're working with Black Americans. We're good. Come on, Africa, trust us again. Look, we have Jay-Z. He's one of you. He's going to talk to you guys too. And they're going to use Jay's blackface to mediate to get back into what they want to do is to continue the rape and pillage of Africa, like the family business has been doing for years. So when I said this is much bigger than Jay-Z, it's much bigger than Jay-Z. Just being there, and Beyonce, Jay just wants a cut. He wants a piece. He wants wealth and power, and he doesn't care about what's happening over there. While Africans are fighting for their independence, these continue to be, underhandedly siphoned of all their funds. Yeah, so let that sink in. All right, we out.